Noah had a way of disappearing into the quiet corners of the house. At 17, he had mastered the art of stillness, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that came from avoidance. His room was his world, dim and cluttered, the blinds always closed, the air thick with days-old silence. He didn't fight with anyone, didn't lash out. He just wasn't there. Not really. He drifted through days like a leaf caught in still water, untouched, unmoved. He wasn't always this way. There were years when he tried, when he raised his hand in class, when he ran home excited with a drawing or a test score. But somewhere along the way, failure crept in. A presentation gone wrong, classmates laughing, teachers with furrowed brows, parents with tired voices. The weight of those moments stacked on his chest until trying felt heavier than giving up. So he stopped. Most days, Noah's mother knocked gently, leaving a plate of food outside his door. His father, always busy, rarely asked questions. But his grandfather, old, slow-moving, a quiet observer, had begun to notice. Grandpa never demanded. He never told Noah to get up, to do better, to try harder. Instead, every morning at exactly 7 o'clock, he made 2 cups of tea. He'd leave one on the windowsill outside Noah's door. It would sit there for hours, untouched, growing cold, and still he made it every morning. At first, Noah ignored it. Then, one morning, he opened the door just slightly and stared at it. Steam still rising, faint and warm. He didn't take it, but something stirred. Another morning passed, then another. On the 5th morning, Noah picked up the cup, took a sip, then set it back down. He said nothing, neither did Grandpa. But the next day, the cup came with a small cookie on the saucer. No words, just quiet offerings. These small gestures chipped at something inside Noah, not in a loud or dramatic way, but like a stream carving through stone over years. He started brushing his teeth earlier, opening the blinds a bit to let in the light. He walked to the mailbox once, just to stretch his legs. No one told him to. No one even noticed. But he felt it, the slight, invisible shift. One afternoon, he heard rustling in the backyard. Grandpa was crouched over a flower bed, weeding with slow, deliberate hands. Noah stood at the window and watched. He didn't understand why, but he watched. Inside, something flickered. A want not big, not bold, just a whisper, to feel useful, to belong to something, even something small. The next morning, Noah stood at the edge of the yard, shoes barely tied, watching his grandfather tug gently at the weeds between marigolds. The old man didn't look up. He simply scooted over a bit, leaving space beside him. Noah crouched down without a word. The soil was soft, the sun not too harsh. His fingers weren't sure what to do at first, fumbling clumsily around stubborn roots. But his grandfather said nothing. There was no lecture, no praise, just silence, filled with the rhythm of shared effort. Over the next few days, this became their quiet ritual. A few minutes in the garden, then a cup of tea. Noah never spoke first, but each small act became easier to return to. Each one whispered, "You showed up yesterday. You can show up again today." It wasn't dramatic. His room was still messy. He still avoided calls from classmates, but he began waking up before noon. He washed his own dishes one day without being asked. He even sat at the dinner table, though he mostly listened. His grandfather once handed him a blank notebook with a pen tucked in its spine. Just that, nothing said. That night, Noah wrote a sentence. It wasn't profound, just a simple line. "I weeded the garden today." But it felt like proof that something had happened, that he had done something. One evening, Grandpa pointed at the worn-down shed at the edge of the yard. "Roof's leaking," he said softly. "Thought I might fix it before the rain comes." Noah followed his gaze. The shed was old, forgotten, much like how he'd felt for so long. He nodded. The next day, they gathered tools. It took them a week. The work was slow, often frustrating. Nails bent, boards didn't align. But something changed during those hours. They didn't talk much, but the silences were no longer heavy. They were full of shared effort, quiet victories, and the kind of connection that grows without needing to be explained. By the end of the week, Noah stood back and looked at the shed. Not perfect, but strong, whole. He felt a strange warmth, not pride exactly, but something close. A steadiness in his chest he hadn't known he could feel. Later that night, he opened his notebook again and wrote, "We fixed something today." Months passed. Noah's changes weren't explosive, but they stayed. He began helping around the house, volunteered quietly at school events. He still preferred silence, but he no longer hid behind it. It was no longer a shield. It was space where something new could grow. And one evening, as he folded the laundry without being asked, his mother watched him from the doorway, tears quietly gathering in her eyes. He didn't see her. He was too focused on the folds, each one crisp, each one small, each one a quiet act of change. If this story touched you, share it, leave a thought below, and subscribe for more.